Hi, this is Caroline from The Happy Sensitive, and I'm here with a video. Um, you might hear some wind howling outside. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's really storming right now. And I wanted to talk to you about something that's relevant for empaths. Um, I just talked to someone, and it was a bit of a rude awakening for me. Anyway, what I found out, and this makes so much sense, and I actually think there are a lot of people probably out there doing this, is people who know they're empaths and like they really have gotten solid proof that they absorb energy from other people into their body and they're more sensitive than most and they carry that energy around with them. They got that assessment. Maybe they got the assessment from me. Maybe they got it from someone else. But then they don't do anything about it. But they walk around and they will tell their significant others and other people who are close to them, you have to mind your emotions about me and you have to do this and you have to do that because I'm an empath and I'm super sensitive and you have to take me into account. That is such... when I first heard this, I was like, oh my God, you're killing me. This is not really happening. Why is this such a problem? Because what this does is, if people go around saying, I'm an empath, therefore you have to walk on eggshells around me, that empath is not taking responsibility for their own health and well-being and emotional management at all. They're trying to make it everybody else's problem. And nobody else can really help them or do anything differently that's going to make them feel better. But somehow, this empath gets into a spin where they're like, I don't really want to deal with whatever this is. I'm just going to put it on other people. They have to take this into account and they have to treat me differently and they have to do everything the way I want. So now it becomes some creepy control tactic. It becomes some kind of like validated handicap where it's like, almost like, I get special empath parking because I'm an empath. I get special empath entrance because I'm an empath. I get special empath this because I'm an empath. This is a really weird combo of, on the one hand, being super sensitive to energy, but then on the other hand, like using it as some kind of entitlement and some kind of control mechanism, which is more of a kind of narcissistic strategy, really. This whole thing it's such a mess. Such a mess. And it's just, in the end, it's just running away from doing your own inner work when you do this. You're like, I don't want to deal with my own stuff, so everybody else has to walk on eggshells and take me into account. No, that is not the way forward. And, if you have an empath partner or friend and they're doing this to you, they're saying, I'm an empath, therefore you have to mind your emotions. No. There are exceptions. Some people are really bad at dealing with their emotions at all, and they will just kind of throw their emotions at people. That is not okay. That is never okay. It's not okay for empaths to deal with it. It's not okay for other people to deal with. It's just, everybody needs to take charge of their emotions and learn how to deal with their feelings well. So I'm not saying that if you're an empath, you should put up with anything. But, yeah, you don't get special treatment. You have to learn how to not deal with things the way you've been dealing with them. And that's why I have a course, From Suffering Sponge to Sensitive Savant. Yet, nevertheless, I get questions from people sometimes. They're like, well, you have a bunch of courses. I'm an empath. Which course should I take? From Suffering Sponge to Sensitive Savant. Yeah, but maybe there's another course. No, From Suffering Sponge to Sensitive Savant. Well, I just did some other things first somewhere else, but it's not really helping. From Suffering Sponge to Sensitive Savant. There's one course that I have, and it's fine if somebody doesn't want to do the course, of course, but then what happens sometimes is people think they can figure it out themselves, and then if they could, that's great, but usually they can't, and they just go around demanding from others that they get special treatment. That's not figuring it out, and that's not doing anything about it. And one of the big problems there is, like, I think a lot of people are used to being up here a lot in their head, trying to control everything from their head. That also fits very well with the way that our society teaches us to deal with everything. It's like, just think it through, But when it comes to actually being an empath, you can't control it from up here. You have to learn how to be in your body and use your intuition to deal with it. This up here is completely, well, not completely, but it's pretty useless. So part of the fear often for people is, and I think on some level they know this, they're going to become trained empaths and actually deal with this head on. Their mind is going to lose power. Their thinking is not going to be in control all the time. Now, when you hear that, you might think, oh, I'm going to run around and be all crazy. No, you have other centers of intelligence that are very, very capable of directing you. But they're not mind. They're not your mind. They're something else. It's your heart, your gut, you've got your inner intuition, but that's all body-based. And it's going to direct you in a different way. And initially, it's really scary when your mind is used to being in control to even contemplate that there could be some other power inside of you that's going to start taking over more of the problems and more of the chores and more of the direction and more of the solutions. So I think deep down, that's what a lot of people are up against. But I wanted to make this video because I was actually really shocked to hear that people will, also from me, get an assessment and check, are they really an empath? And I do the healing work and I check and I'm like, yes, you definitely are an empath. And then they just go around bullying other people with it, basically. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is not something I want to be a part of. Of course, I can't really, help that. There's not much I can do. Like maybe get people to sign a form in advance, like, after this healing assessment, you promise to not go around and bully people and tell them that they have to give you special treatment because you're an empath. It might be worth a try. But that's really important. That's not a solution. And it might make you feel better in your head for a little while knowing, oh, I'm an empath. This makes so much sense. There's so much that clicks into place that's just, I understand why all these things have been happening right now. But what's important to understand is, like, just understanding it's not going to change it. Just because it makes sense now, it doesn't mean the problem goes away. That would be like getting a medical diagnosis for an illness and then not treating the illness at all. What's the point of getting a diagnosis if you're not going to actually do anything about it? I'm not saying being an empath is an illness, but it does make your life really, really hard. And being an empath means a certain part of your intuition is basically kind of out of control. It's not out of control. I don't mean that you're crazy. I mean that it's out of control the way that somebody who works 80 hours a week is out of control. Like, some part of them has just gone into overdrive. And that's what's happening when you're an empath. A part of you has gone into overdrive, and we need to get that part back into a healthy balance. And that can totally be done. And if you're wondering, I don't know how to do that, well, that's why I'm here. That's why I have a course. All right. I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.